Hello everyone, welcome to another Voice Essentials Hangout, and if you are watching the replay of this video, as many of you do, actually far more of you watch it as a replay than you do as an actual live event, then you're welcome. Thank you for tuning in and clicking on the video. It's always good to have you replay the video. But of course, if you are watching live, and I can already see that Osgrey, who has changed his name to Metal Lord, and Matt, and Karen from Singwise, and Linda, and Yahui are already jumping in and generating. Gee, you guys are busy on we've got Snowball Treks there. Make sure you let us know where you're from and what the weather is like in your part of the world. I have just been in Warwick for the last couple of days with my son. We went up there Friday afternoon and got back yesterday afternoon, which was my Sunday. Of course, it's Monday, 2 p.m. right here, right now. But of course, for many of you, you're still in your weekend. Well, our weekend finished off yesterday, and went. Yeah, I took Jaden up, my son, for a tennis tournament, and we had a lot of fun with his tennis squad, all of his tennis mates, and his tennis coach, which was a lot of good fun. And so it's been actually a really restful weekend, which is nice for a change. Just a very quick thank you to all of you who keep asking after Jodie. She is doing really well. You'll be pleased to know. We only have one. She only has one treatment of chemo to go, but we've really been traveling this journey as a family. So we as a family, we've got one chemo treatment to go. We are nearly at the end of the chemo road, which is very exciting, but also has some daunting aspects to it, kind of stepping off into the void. And then Jodie will have a range of other scans to go through, and they will tell us about what the next phase looks like. But right now we're feeling really buoyant and quite hopeful for what the next phase might look like. So I just wanted to update you all. That's where we're at. Things are looking really positive thus far. So thank you for all of your continued comments and well wishes and prayers. They're very much appreciated, and I know it's just been so helpful to Jodie, so thank you. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, my wife Jodie was diagnosed with bowel cancer last year, and we've been on a journey of learning and understanding and all those things ever since. And so there you go. Now, just before we get into today's topic, I also just want to let you all know, because many of you have been long-time subscribers here to the Voice Essentials channel, which I think is just fabulous. Last week, I upgraded my YouTube account. Now, really, to you should see no difference. It's really the back end that just gives me the power to give management to other individuals of my channel, so that as I go forward and as the channel grows, and thank you to everyone, all of the new subscribers. This channel is growing at around about 60 to 70 subscribers a day, which is very exciting and very humbling for me as the person who runs the channel. But of course, this is our channel, it's our community. But in going forward, I recognize that I may need some help, and so I sought some advice, and it became apparent that I needed to upgrade the channel. The only thing that has changed as a result of that is that, and I don't know why this is, and it does strike me as odd, but I was able to obtain expert knowledge on this, and they weren't able to tell me why. But the only thing you'll have noticed is that prior to basically Thursday last week, all of my comments to everyone else's comments, so if you go to any video of mine, you'll see that there's a lot of comments, people asking questions about the video, making comments, some people trolling and all that sort of stuff. And I do my very best to respond to every comment for the most part. But in the upgrade, and again, I don't know why this is, all of my comments, no one else's comments, just my comments, don't get brought across. So it does mean that any time that I've responded to you in the context of a video in the comments section, before Thursday last week, all of those comments are gone. You'll see that in recent times, in the last 4 days, I have been commenting and commenting quite actively, and so all the comments going forward will be there, but just prior to something like the 21st of February 2018, I've lost all of my responses. So just a heads up to let you know, I haven't gone through and personally deleted them all. I'd be here a long time doing that, but just wanted to let you all know that that's what has happened, and I will always continue to aim to respond to all of your comments, and that's what we do here, and we will do that in this very video. Later on in the show today, we will respond to a few of your questions. That's what we like to do in our Q&A section. But today's topic is a topic I am personally passionate about. It's an area that I have personally done research into. Last year in Sweden, I presented with my very good friend and colleague, Associate Professor Di Hughes from Macquarie University, and we presented at the International Congress for Voice Teachers on the subject of kinesthetic singing. And I just wanted to give you some thoughts and some ideas around this idea of singing with feeling. That's not emotional feeling, though it can have an emotional impact. It was more about talking about the way you are physically responding to your sound. We're going to talk about that coming right up.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
Okay, and I've just had a look at my chat section. I'm trying to get the right size chat section for you guys so you can see your comments, and so because last week I put the chats up, but the chat comments were really the chatter was very small, the writing, and so it was hard to read. So now, having resized it, to be honest with you, that just looks too big. But anywho, at least you'll be able to read it. Shamer has just jumped in, which is wonderful. Shamer has just interacted with me on YouTube via one of my other videos. Shamer, I'll just let you know, I wrote in one of the responses, you've requested more Spanish subtitles. I am slowly but surely going through and having some of my videos translated. Look, it is an expensive process, Shamer, and so if you're able to understand my English even now, hopefully you will understand that it's a costly process, and so I am slowly but surely adding more subtitles, and Spanish is my #1 subtitle that I'm doing the videos in. Okay. Tatatot Man. Thanks, Dr. Dan, for the vids. Ignore the name. Thanks very much, Tatatot. I have no idea what Tatatot stands for, but there you go. Okay, let's get into today's subject. So when we talk about kinesthetic singing, really we're talking about learning to sing by sensation. Now, some clarity around this concept for us all. When we first start singing, understandably, we spend a good portion of our time singing with these things, monitoring our voice, the laryngeal work, the pitch, the tone, so the vocal tract work. We tend to monitor it with our ears. And we never turn our ears off, they're always on. And we manage our voice with those. What I am keen to do with every new student that steps into my studio is complement that ability to manage our voice with our ears. I am always keen to complement that ability with the ability to manage the voice kinesthetically. So in a first lesson with a student, I will often say, okay, we're going to sing through this 5-note scale. Ya. And as we sing through this scale, I want you to, yes, you're going to be listening to your notes, but I want you to zone in on what are you physically experiencing. So I will often get to the end of an exercise, not only with beginner students, but with my more advanced students. I will get to the end of an activity with a student and say, what did you experience as you sang that phrase through? Because here's the deal, I can hear what the student is doing, I can see what the student is doing, but the student is the only person that can feel the sound that they are producing. And so it's a matter of the student developing an awareness, a kinesthetic awareness of their body. Kinesthesia is a word we use to nominate the sensations, the physical sensations and the vibrations that we experience. And so a singer might use words like, that felt tense, or my voice felt tight, or my throat feels open, or I experienced a really buoyant body state. There's actually no defined language around this, and I often say to students, let's develop this language for you together, and in seeking to not create a right language or a wrong language. This area of kinesthetic singing, an acknowledgement that we feel our sound production as well as hear it, is to be honest with you, it's a highly debated aspect of singing. Not that people flat out declare we don't feel our singing, but I guess what's debated is the importance of it. I personally place great deals of importance on it, particularly for contemporary singers, because for those of you who have done any number of live performance vocals, you will know that, sometimes, actually sadly, more often than not, when we are doing performance, the fold back, the monitors, whether it be, and it's, floor monitors, often it can be very hard to hear yourself on stage. What you can always do, unless your head becomes separated from your shoulders, and in that case you've got bigger fish to fry, you've got bigger problems, what you can always do is feel what's going on. But of course, if you haven't developed that, what are often an awareness of very subtle subtleties around how your voice feels, then and if you haven't learned to do that in practice, then what can happen is it can be quite a challenging thing to do in performance. And so learning to do that is a really good thing. We're going to talk through an exercise or an activity that you can do to start making yourself aware of how to do this in a moment. But suffice to say now is that it's important. Well, let's talk about a word that's often bandied around by singing teachers, and this is a word that has had some controversy leveled at it over the last 5-10 years or so, and it's this word placement, because it's a word that really does sit alongside kinesthetic singing, an awareness of physical sensation as you sing. And I will state, and I've made this comment in one of my a video that I think I did a couple of years ago about singing in the mask. And this word placement, let's not gild the lily here. This is a metaphorical term only. When we sing, we don't place the voice anywhere. The voice is produced at the level of the vocal folds, and then the sound travels through our vocal tract, which then either enhances or detracts from the tonal qualities, the acoustical qualities of that sound, and then it exits past our lips and in part through our nostrils, past our nostrils and out into the big bad world, and then whatever happens with it from there is up to the space that you're singing in, etc. However, what we do have to acknowledge, I personally think, and again I understand that there are some singing teachers that will fervently disagree with me on this, is that we do get a sense of where we place the voice. And again, using the term metaphorically. So what I want to do is I want to just jump across here for now. And in fact, let me just make a small adjustment so I can see myself. So what I want to do is come across here. This is an activity that I use in this other video that I was talking about, and it's a double 5-note scale. It's track 9, exercise 8 on my exercise CD, which you can download in your own time from my website. The exercise simply goes like this. So the whole idea is to create, and I refer to this as an exercise that develops forward placement. I love the way Ken Bozeman talks about the front room and the back room. And this is very much an exercise that places our sound into the front room. This is what it would sound like if we had it placed in our back room, in the back of the throat. I feel my tongue pulling back there. It's quite narrow. And I'm very aware of the sensory notion that the voice is placed, if anything, it's actually caught in the back of the throat, or as Bozeman says, the back room. And so with this activity, my activity, we're generally, and this is the case for the lion's share of healthy, sustainable, middle of the road singing, we want it to be forward. And so as I'm doing that, I'm getting a buzz behind my lips. And in fact, that's an important point, is I'm feeling my sound. But not only am I feeling the buzz in my lips, now it must be said, for me to create the sound, in fact, though I'm feeling the buzz in my lips, all of the sound is actually traveling through my nasal cavity. If it wasn't, then I would have no sound. So this is actually, in a funny kind of way, not a funny kind of way, it is just the way it is. This is a nasalized tone, but it's a forward-placed hum. And then you can hear my vowel is sitting there ready to go. I got a comment only, I think, last week on one of my videos. I can't remember which one it was, basically suggesting that I was only using the vowel of R in all of my videos. I've suggested to that individual that they might want to look a little bit more wider on my videos to see that it's not only R vowels that I use, because in fact on this, the video a couple of years ago, I also use on this activity the E vowel. Me. And so it's a matter of changing that and working with the placement, the sensations as the voice travels along the vocal tract. You can also try the vowel shape, as I do in lesson often. I try the vowel shape of oo. And so it's just working with the different sensations, and every vowel shape will have a slightly different sensation physically. And it's not only, of course, it's not only placement that we're referring to when we talk about kinesthetic singing, but it's also being aware of other manageable physicalities around your voice. That was an unusual way to say it, but we can be also thinking about, some people will describe their voice as being raspy, and so they'll have that sort of a sound to it. Now, straight away, I am directed physically. I'm directed to an awareness of sort of sound to my throat. But we also have to think about, I'm just going to step back, we've also got to think about our alignment. Is my alignment feeling rigid and toy soldierish with stiff knees and, rigid back and it's all, or is my alignment feeling, am I aware of developing a really balanced and buoyant body state where do I feel the activation of musculature? Do I feel it through my lower and mid abs, and are my obliques actively engaged as I support the breath stream through a phrase as I exhale my air to form sound? Or is that work sitting high, and am I what's referred to as laryngeally focused? These are all areas that I'd want to direct your attention to be aware of. What are you feeling? Now, to finish our discussion around this today, and hopefully this is, hey, hit the thumbs up if you're enjoying today's topic and you're getting something out of it, because it is important for us to note this, that there is a spectrum, if you like, of sensory, the capacity of any individual to be kinesthetically aware. And I want to be really clear in saying that this is a very new thought for me. It was only one that my wife Jody actually brought to my attention in the weeks leading up to me going with Associate Professor Di Hughes to Sweden to present on this subject. And it became apparent to us because my daughter, Taryn, my youngest daughter, has been diagnosed with dyslexia. And in the lead up to that, there was other sensory awareness issues that we were made aware of. And that is, for Taryn, she doesn't receive the same level of sensory input physically that the rest of us do. So, for example, and this is not such a big issue for her, I think she is probably growing through this now, but about 2 years ago, we would have to sit her on what was called a wobble cushion. I don't have it close by to be able to show you, but the wobble cushion basically is a round rubbery cushion that she sits on at the dinner table and at school. No longer she doesn't do this anymore, but she sits on it and it wobbles. So we used to call it her wobble cushion. In fact, we started calling it her magic cushion, because the first night we ever used this wobble cushion, it was the first night in 5 years that Taryn, probably 6 or 7 years, that Taryn sat at the table for the entire meal and didn't move. Why? Because she was suddenly getting the sensory feedback from the wobble cushion, and so we started calling it the magic cushion because it made Taryn sit still. And as she ages, she's being able to self-manage that a little bit more. So at one end of the spectrum, we've got ones like Taryn, whose body does not give them enough sensory feedback. At the other end of the spectrum, we have, and we see this in a lot of autistic children, is there's actually, their body is too sensitive to movement. It's too sensitive to a whole range of things, whether it be sound, whether it be physical sensation, a lot of tactile taste things. The world's just on steroids for them at a sensory level. And so they are overly sensitive to kinesthesia. And so in the middle, we probably have a bit of a bell curve, yeah, where the rest of us sit. But I've had students over the years who sit at the really low end of the spectrum, where they're kind of aware of stuff, but it's harder for them than others to really zone in on and really feel the sensations of their voice. At the other end of the spectrum, for the majority of the population, we've got singers who really feel their voice to the point where we'll do a new act. This happens every now and then. I'll do a new activity with a singer, and suddenly they'll just start to cry because we've activated an area of sensory awareness for them, and they become so wonderfully aware of their voice at a sensory level. I'd be interested to read in the comments section where you feel you sit on the spectrum of sensory awareness, and where you are in your development of sensory awareness around singing. I know in my own singing, this has been such an important area for me to develop, especially as a contemporary vocalist, singing a lot in churches. And I can tell you, for those of you who don't sing in churches, churches are notorious for having atrocious sound. Certainly in Australia they are, and so hearing yourself can be a real challenge. But learning to sing by sensation improves that challenge significantly. And I have sung many a worship service, but not only that, I've sung many a corporate secular gig by sensation, more than by hearing. And so it's one of those things. Again, for some this is a controversial area. It's not a controversy to me. I think this is pretty stock standard kind of experience for singers, especially in contemporary vocals. But nonetheless, I'll be interested to hear your comments and to read your thoughts. And that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to go back to the computer and we are going to go straight into Q&A. So don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you've enjoyed today's topic. Okay, so here we are. I'm looking at our discussion, and gee, you guys are. I always love the fact that you guys are so active in your discussion and chatting here, and it certainly makes my my job feel a lot easier. And in fact, let me go across to this one, because this one, I know the writing's smaller, everyone, but it's going to allow me to sort of point out the questions that I'm answering. Again, please please leave your comments and your questions so that I can answer them. Snowball Treks. We'll give the first question to Snowball, because I don't think Snowball, I don't recognize your name, Snowball. If you've been watching previously, thank you. If you're new, thank you. Oh, and I am hoping that you all received your notifications. You know, I was saying earlier in today's live hangout, the fact that I'd upgraded the channel to this different account. I'm hoping that all of the notifications, the fact that if you not only have to subscribe to the channel, but you've also got to hit that white bell icon to be notified of when I go live, and also when my other two videos during the week on Wednesdays and Fridays, when they are uploaded and go live. So I'll be really keen to learn that you all still received your notification, and hopefully you can let me know. So Snowball, hey Dr. Dan, what vocal exercises or what can I do to improve singing while I am sick? Snowball, I am so pleased you asked that question, because I think I'm gaining a bit of a reputation here on YouTube for being the person to be constantly saying, where possible, please avoid singing while sick. And so really the vocal exercises, you shouldn't be really, heavily workshopping the voice if you are sick. I made a statement just recently that there are certainly times, especially professional singers. In fact, we talked about this when we were talking about the fact that Pink had sang as a part of her for the national anthem, for this what's it called, the Super Bowl, and she had to sing while she was sick. And I made the comment that I think, given the same circumstance, I too would have made the choice to sing. I will never have to make that decision, but nonetheless, you get my point. And so, if you're having to perform and you're being paid, and especially in Pink's scenario, well, she wasn't being paid, but it was still a vocational kind of thing. You have to sing. But most of the time, for many of us here on this channel, singing when you're sick is not an absolute necessity. It's a choice, and it's a matter of making the right choice for your voice. I would be encouraging you, Snowball, to jump across onto the channel, go to the videos tab, and one of the most recent videos that talks about the 3-day vocal recovery. It's only in the last 5, 6, 7 videos. You'll find it there. It's got a girl with squeezing a lemon on the video, on the thumbnail. Have a watch of that. I think that'll be helpful, because there's a range of activities I give people to do in bringing their voice through a period of sickness. Hajong In, hello from Chile. It's nice to have you join us. People from all over the world, this is awesome. That's fantastic. Matt, thank you for your kind words in regards to Jodie's health. Yes, she is doing well, and we're very thankful for that. Misco, still -1 Celsius in Canada. We had a heat wave here about two weeks ago, and we were up in the 39-degree mark. Like it was warm. So I would welcome -1 Celsius right now. I think I'm coming down here. Tater tots, same as potato gems in Aussie. I like Linda. I like tater tots. I think they're yummy. If that's what you are, tater tot man, that's good. Okay, I'm coming down here. I want to answer a couple of questions before we finish off today. Linda is making a comment here. Wobble cushions sound like a great idea. Yeah, they are. It was magical to see how it assisted Taran, who has such limited kinesthetic, well, at the time had limited kinesthetic awareness. See how it helped her. Karen is saying, I have hypersensory awareness. I notice everything, every sensation. It's a blessing and a curse. Yeah, Karen, that's interesting to learn that about you. And I'm sure maybe perhaps during childhood that was even more challenging. Matt's saying here, when you say kinesthetic, are you talking about just physical sensation or emotional sensation? There are certain things I sing that get me just welling up with tears. We really are talking about the physical nature of the voice in this aspect. But some people are emotionally sensitive, and that too, just like Karen made it, and it can be a blessing and a curse. And it's learning to, all of this is about management. It's learning to manage not only your emotional your emotional awareness, but also your physical awareness of the voice, just like it is about learning to manage your oral awareness and those sorts of things. Coming down here, we're going to give learning to sing in the sensation of vibration is good. I put hearing aid, and when I'm jamming with other missions, I need to use my imagination to feel. Yeah, and the interesting thing is that we can also work with what would be referred to, we feel the pulse through the ground. A friend of mine who's a very well-known double bass player and electric bass for that matter here in Brisbane, Jeremy, a wonderful player. He has a platform that he stands on and that plugs into his bass amp, and it actually generates vibration up through. So when he's sitting there, sitting off the snare of the drummer, he's not only feeling the snare of the drum, but he's also feeling the pulse of what he's laying down rhythmically from his bass up through his feet, up through his legs. And I remember the first time I stood on this platform, it was a really weird, wonderful experience, and he uses it particularly in really loud. I said, when do you use this typically? He said, a lot of the time he'll use it in really loud gigs where he's struggling to hear himself, to have that added kinesthetic awareness of what he's laying down, because remembering that the bass player and the drummer are laying down the pulse, and for him to really lock in with the drummer, he's got to really know where he's at as well as where the drummer's at, and so he uses that. Maybe we need a similar thing for singers as well. Okay, coming down, we are going to... I'm going to give the last comment here to... who is just saying here, it warns me you will be live in 30 minutes to get last notice. I must click on 30-minute notice. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how that works. Learning to sing in the sensation of vibration is good. I put my we just spoke to that. So I'm coming back here to Shamir. I started singing and I have a doubt. At the end of singing, I can use lyric voice and popular voice, but how do I know my true voice, which I can reach high notes? Teach me, please. Yeah, vocal awareness. I've made this statement many times on the channel, and we're going to finish on this, everyone. Vocal awareness is something that it's spending time with your voice, Shamir. it's the more you practice, the more familiar you become with how your voice will behave and perform and respond, and knowing how to then apply that to the different material that you're singing and all those sorts of things. And that's what I'd be encouraging you to have a look at, and jump across onto the channel, jump up and have a look in the videos page. Even I think there's even a playlist about becoming more aware of your own sound and developing a better sort of relationship with your own voice, so to speak, and hopefully you'll find that helpful. So there you go, everyone. Another really fabulous hangout. So thank you so much to everyone for your comments and getting active and staying respectful to each other, because that's what we are here at Voice Essentials. We are a really encouraging community that are really keen to encourage each other on this journey of learning to sing. I want to say a special thank you to Karen and Linda, who always jump on and moderate our conversation, just making sure that everyone in the conversation is safe and respected. So thank you, ladies, for doing that role. You are awesome. Until I see you in the next Voice Essentials video, hey, don't forget to subscribe if this is the first time that you've ever joined in. We do these live hangouts every Monday, 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Until I see you in the next Voice Essentials video, which I really hope I do, I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.